There we go. We are live here on the Polar Bears and in Flip Flops podcast here with my co-host Angelo Villagomez. How you doing, Angelo?
Polar bear checking in. It's all right. It's kind of cold today. And I'm a polar bear from a tropical island. And I don't like this weather, especially with my New Year's resolution of doing fitness. Because I hate outdoor fitness. So I've been doing
Yes.
indoor. I've been doing indoor fitness.
So
Um,
running in place on a
Running in
treadmill.
place on a trip. How goes your New Year's resolution of getting into
Well,
exercise?
so you've done what since the New Year's?
Every day.
It's
Every
every day.
day.
So January
I've
15th today, you've done every day.
between 30 minutes and 50 minutes cardio.
Okay, that's amazing. I have
15
done
straight.
one. I have done one day.
Okay, good.
One
Well,
day.
that's one.
That's one day. Yeah, I
One
did. I
day.
did
Yeah.
this week. I went to the
Hey,
gym.
you look great. I can tell. Like
Feel.
it's really working.
Look, I'll be honest. Every time I work out, I feel fantastic. Like
You do.
afterwards, I
No,
feel
it's
good.
amazing.
Like
And I think part of that is like you're a dude, and
yeah,
like a man of a certain age, like you pass by the mirror, like maybe you flex a bicep, and you're like,
yeah.
yeah, I still got it, man. I still got it. Look at this.
Hey, sometimes you look at yourself. Look, I don't have to look that good. I just have
Yeah.
to look decent
Um,
enough.
but I did hop on the scale, and
Oh yeah,
weighing in at 235, which is
nice.
like the biggest I've like. That is a good sized polar bear.
That's a good sized polar bear.
That
Well,
is a
yeah,
healthy polar bear eating lots of seals.
eating lots
Over
of
the
steel. You
years.
getting that blubber. Well, it is winter. You got to stay warm for the cold,
It is,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I step on the scale every once in a while. I measure myself in kilos because
Okay,
it makes me
true. Yeah,
feel better about
yeah. 100
myself.
plus, 100 plus for me.
Yeah, I'm definitely 100 plus. I've got about 15.
Yeah.
I got about 15 pounds on you, so
Yeah.
I'm 115 kilos. But it kind of goes. But I should say, the weekend watching football, I did a lot. I did some drinking. I did some
Yeah.
eating unhealthy. But during the week, this week, I've been on point. Like
Excellent.
chicken salads every lunch, eggs and a banana for the morning, and then like dinner I'll do like a little bit whatever the family's eating and stuff like that, which
Mhm.
is usually pretty healthy. So I've been pretty good in terms of my diet, which I think is the biggest thing for me
Cool.
is I can't go crazy on diets.
And
You know.
speaking of like sitting on a couch and watching football,
Yeah.
I know very little about football, and I just like I only cared about the Patriots, and so I
Yeah.
picked the Patriots, and then and you disagreed. You were like, no, the Patriots going to lose, and I think the
I
Chargers.
still think they're gonna lose.
Oh well. mm,
They got lucky. They got
so,
lucky.
but you then picked five other games,
I
and
did.
you were correct
In
five
five.
out of five,
5 out of 5.
except for the Patriots Chargers
Except for
game.
yeah.
So me, knowing nothing about football, went 6 for 6.
Because you just took my picks.
And because I just took your picks, and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you know what
yeah.
else happened is I put my jersey on and I sat down on the couch and I started to watch the game, and my wife said, I want to watch the Golden Globes.
Oh
And
no!
so do you know what we did?
You watched the Golden
We
Globes.
watched the Golden Globes. Yeah, it was pretty good. Nikki Glaser opened
Oh,
up. She was hilarious.
she's funny. She is funny.
Yeah, the
Like,
K-pop Demon Hunters won
yeah.
an award, which was like super awesome.
So I didn't realize the K-pop Demon Hunters are American. Is that
Yeah,
right?
like one of them, like the lead singer's from New Jersey.
Yeah, because like so
Um,
I saw an interview. I guess Snoop was doing the red carpet
oh
interviews.
my
I was
gosh, that
watching
was
clips throughout the
hilarious.
week, and they were hilarious. But I didn't know that. I thought they were from Korea, so I didn't know if they could speak
No,
English
they
very well. Because other Korean pop stars that have come over, they normally speak Korean, so they didn't. But
yeah,
this one, I was like, oh,
I
they
think they
sound
were the other
American,
way around. I think they were like like basic like Zoe from K-pop Demon Hunters, who was from
right?
I
New Jersey.
forget. No, in the movie, one of them was from
Oh, I haven't seen the
California. I
movie.
forget.
I
You haven't
haven't
seen the
seen the
movie,
movie. I have
dude?
not seen the movie.
You have two teenage girls. How have you not watched K-pop Demon Hunters?
They watched it on their own devices, I
Okay,
guess.
all
I
right.
don't even know if they've watched it, to be honest. I have to
Yeah.
ask. I don't know.
But yeah, no, I think that they're like American kids who went to Korea to try to be K-pop idols. Like
Mm,
one of them's from Maryland, which is like
okay,
grew up right around here, right
that's
where I live
crazy.
now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but like
Yeah.
the lead singer, EJ, is that her name? Like I listen to her talk, like on like her real voice, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that girl's from New Jersey.
I can tell. You don't have to tell me. That
Yeah,
girl is from
like
New Jersey.
like nobody says that in the interviews, but like this girl's
Yeah.
the Jersey girl.
That's a Jersey girl. That's awesome. Yeah, no, look, I went over to my buddy's house. He's a Chargers fan.
Uh-huh.
So I watched the Chargers game. I was a little sad because the Chargers, very much like the Niners, have had injuries, but especially to their offensive line. And
But
so
the
it
Niners,
made
they're
Niners won. Yeah, but it made the Patriots. It made the Patriots look good in terms of the offensive line. I felt bad for Justin Herbert, who was sacked about 6+ times. I have to say something. I know you don't watch football, but there's an announcer named Chris Collinsworth. He used to play for the Bengals. He kept saying how he was surprised at how well protected Justin Herbert was. And at one point when he said it, the next line out of his mouth was he's been sacked more than, like, he's the only quarterback who's been sacked more than 4 times in a game, multiple games. But he was saying how good he was protected. So I feel like there's something going on there. I'm like, I don't know if he's understanding what he said before compared to what he's saying in that stat. It was very comical.
Some writer put that on the screen.
Yeah. Yeah, and he just read it and he realized it.
It's like
it's kind of like when Rubio passed the note this week to Trump, and Trump's like, "Oh, talk to Chevron."
Yeah.
They have a deal.
Like
Yeah, it was such an Anchorman moment.
You read whatever you put in front of them. That's probably what it was.
But yeah, Niners won. Huge surprise. We lost George Kittle, who is like my favorite. I think many people's favorite football player, just in general. He's a beast. He's fun. He's your typical football player. Ruptured his Achilles, or tore his Achilles, and that was sad. That was sad to see. And that was like in the beginning of the first half or middle of the first half, and we still won with that. And I was very happy about that. So that was a good update for this week.
All right, we've got 3 more weeks. They only have to win 3 more games.
Yeah, we're so who does New England play? They play Bills. They play Josh Allen. That's good. So what's your prediction? We're gonna go with your prediction this time first before you hear my prediction.
Isn't it? It's Bills, Broncos, Texans, Patriots.
Oh, Bills, Broncos, Texans, Patriots. Yeah, that's right.
Let's go Bills.
You're gonna go Bills over Broncos?
Bills. I'm gonna go Patriots. Yeah. Like, I'm wearing the jersey. You're
gonna go Patriots for sure, and you'll go Bills. You want a Bills Patriots AFC final? That'll be very interesting.
And it's my buddy Brad. Just really, he's from Buffalo, and he just he needs this in his life.
Brad needs it. He definitely needs it.
He's suffered for decades.
So much.
As have the people of Buffalo.
Yes. 4 Super Bowls in a row they lost in the 90s, and that was sad. And then on the other side, we've got the Niners against the Seahawks, and then we've got the Rams against Chicago, the Bears. Who do you have in the Niners game? That's Saturday night. Who do you have there?
Probably Seahawks, right? Like, they're like the best team.
They're the number 1 seed. I get it, but you also picked the Bills over Broncos.
Yeah,
the Broncos were number 1 seed. So hey, good on you.
But that wasn't based on any knowledge of the 2 teams. Because my friend likes the Bills.
Understood. Yeah, so go Bills. Okay, so you think the Seahawks and then Rams Bears?
I have no clue. I don't know. You tell me, and I'll go with your pick.
I would say Rams.
All right, Rams it is. All right, so we're picking Rams, Seahawks.
Patriots. Oh, I'm not picking Seahawks.
Oh, you're not picking Seahawks.
No. So those are your picks. I'm gonna go Rams, Niners, because I have to go Niners. That's my team. Right. I can't go against them. And then I'm gonna go Broncos, and Houston.
Wow, so we're splitting it up.
Yeah, because they have good defenses, and so I think they'll shut down. They'll shut down the offenses. See, here's my thing with the Patriots. Patriots have had a very easy road to get into number 1, and this is nothing against them. They're doing really great, but they've had a very easy road. They haven't come up against a team that's had that I feel like that had big defenses. And Houston has probably the best defense in the league. They shut down many teams, and I think they'll shut down these guys.
They crushed the Steelers last week.
Crushed them. Yeah, crushed them. I don't know if Baltimore would have done any better, but they definitely crushed the Steelers. But yeah, so yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens this week. So we got one, or we got a couple that are very different, or three that are very different. So we'll see how that goes. Seattle's going to be a tough team to beat for the Niners, but we will see. We will see. We're a very different team. Okay, let's get into the rest of the show. We're here to talk
Ocean
about
conservation.
ocean conservation, because that's what Polar Bears and Flip Flops is all about. We're here to talk about that went into effect this week. Is it today?
In 2 days.
In 2 days. Yeah, 17th. I always think it's the 15th. We're looking at the High Seas Treaty. So the Biodiversity Beyond National Jurisdiction Agreement is what it's called, but it's also called the High Seas Treaty, which makes it much easier to say. It's a historic breakthrough for ocean conservation. But there was a couple of articles that were written that we're going to go over. So which one did you want to go over first? Did you want to go over the Lubchenco?
The two articles were published by, and like when I say they're my colleagues, it's like they are way more senior than me. Not senior, but like way more prominent and like in the science world than I am. And so it's more like I'm their colleagues, or like I hope they would call me their colleagues.
Do you know? But, so interesting fact, in Malaysia, Dr. James Lubchenco, who is like to both of us, like way above us.
Yeah. She worked in the White House and
she was head of NOAA. She told me one time.
She knows my name. She does know my name.
Yeah, she has my phone number in her phone because she told me to put my phone.
We are a pretty big deal. I don't know.
We are huge. I have not talked to her since. She has not called me.
If our 5 listeners know that, the two of us are a pretty big deal. But so Dr. Lubchenco and Dr. Kirsten. God, I always get her name wrong. Oh my gosh, it's really hard to say because it's Kirsten Groward Culvert.
Yep.
And then Dr. Jenna Sullivan Stack.
Yep.
They were sort of some of the science leads for the NPA Guide. And I'm an author on the NPA Guide, which published 5 years ago in Science. But they both came out. They have a series of articles, and the one by Dr. Lubchenco is probably really really interesting. It's titled "The High Seas Treaty Spells Hope for the Ocean, but only if it is powered by science." And this one's a little bit longer and gives a little bit more of an explanation of what the High Seas Treaty is all about. And she talks about the 4 different parts of what it does. It's going to allow for a formal structure for the development of marine protected areas. It allows to conduct environmental impact assessments. It forces these countries to equitably share marine genetic resource benefits. And then it also has requirements for building capacity and transfer of marine technology. So her article is a little bit more explanatory of all of what this is and like how long it took to come into place. And I have colleagues who've worked on this for like 10, 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And like what an amazing moment for them, right? I mean,
huge. I remember when the agreement was when it finally took place, all the negotiations were done, and they knocked that gavel to say that the treaty was done. People were like emotional, after, right? Because that was many of them, that was their life's work at that point, right? Wherever you are in your career, at the end of the career, in the middle of the career, at the beginning, that was like the biggest thing that's ever happened. It's such a huge thing.
Yeah. And so just talk a little bit more of the paper. So Dr. Lubchenco just sort of says, now that we're moving all these things forward, here are some of the things they're going to have to do. Here are some of the meetings that are coming up. They're going to have to create a science body. They're going to have to decide, how many people are on it, and figure out the best way to operate. So there's still a lot of work to be done. And then she also makes recommendations on how we begin to advance towards marine protected areas and how we create them. And of course, she
enforced
one of the lead authors on enforced on the NPA Guide. She makes a suggestion that we use the NPA Guide, and that's what Kirsten and Jenna's paper is also all about. It's about just we've used the NPA Guide. It's been used to do analyses of 19 different countries' NPAs. Something like 90% of the ocean has been analyzed, or 90% of marine protected areas have been analyzed. 90% of the coverage of marine protected areas. Sorry, you got to get it right. 90% of the coverage of marine protected areas have been analyzed using the NPA Guide. So it really is one of the best tools out there for helping us to understand what needs to go into protected area design,
Yep.
and when things should count, and how to protect the ocean. I do think it's a little bit more complicated than that. Are you a Lord of the Rings fan?
A little bit, yeah.
In the movies,
I've seen the
uh,
movies, yeah.
you celebrate, but I think where we are in terms of protecting the high seas is Frodo just got the ring to Rivendell,
Right.
right?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
book one. And like
Yeah.
that was a scary. They met Tom Bombadil. There were
Yep.
the nine Nazgul, the horses that were chasing after them.
Yep.
They got stuck. Then they got captured by a white. Is that what it was called? There's like I don't remember what it was called. It's
The
been a
White
while.
Wizard? Was
I'm
it
not
the
that
White
big of
Wizard
a
at
nerd.
that
No, there
time?
was like they come across like a graveyard, I think, and they get
Oh,
captured.
right.
And that's when Tom Bombadil comes and
Yeah. And
dude,
saves
I'm
him.
the worst nerd. I'm not
I'm.
remember.
It's been a while since I watched.
Wow.
I mean, those are like like significant investments in movies. I think I watched it with my
Yeah,
kids the last
they
time, so
also
that was a
books.
while ago. Yeah.
But kind of like there's still a Balrog underneath Khazak Dûm. They still got to bring
Yeah.
the ring to the mountain. They still got to defeat Sauron and Saruman.
Oh yeah.
And with the high seas, like it's all we've kind of agreed to is the rules.
Yeah.
It says, these are the things that we can do. Now we got to go out and do it. Um,
Right.
and, and there's so many people out there, so many good people out there, putting forward proposals for marine protected areas. But this work is difficult. Fisheries interests are incredibly influential, right? Um,
Absolutely.
and you look at the global coverage of where the big MPAs are today, and nearly all of them are in overseas territories. I've talked about this, written about this a lot, and that's because anytime a country or an NGO suggests an MPA in a place where there's a lot of fishing, there's people get upset. If you remember last year when there was a proposal to create MPAs in Scotland,
Hmm.
remember that one? And the fishing community was outraged. And at the end of the day, like I think in Scotland they were talking about 10%. That's it's a reasonable ask if you ask me. Like it's not 90% of the ocean.
No.
It's just saying there are some places out there that should be closed. And I predict there will be that level of opposition, and it's going to be a lot more complicated, because it's either going to have to be done by consensus or by majority. Some of these decisions, and
And I think it's interesting. I don't know if we talked about this last week. I did I don't think it was. I don't think we did. I recorded a story. I think that just came. It's coming out tomorrow. Um, an episode on squid fisheries in Argentina, right in the
uh
South Atlantic Ocean, and it was it was kind of like a story of called Mile 201, which is basically the exclusive economic zone. I'm saying this story because it kind of is kind of bringing in where the High Seas Treaty
yeah,
could meet, and so it's basically like you have Mile 201, you have the exclusive economic zone. Over Mile 201 is where that's where the high seas hits. There's no high seas treaty yet. There's no MPAs there yet. So if the squid go over that line, the distant fishery fleets, which are fleets from all over the world, China has the biggest one. They sit on that line, basically waiting for waiting for the migration of these squid to come over that line, and they take as many as they want. So the Argentinian fishers will take like whatever quota they're allowed to, and under their jurisdictions. But then once it goes over, and let's be honest, that line is not like a line in the water where you can see people go over it all the time. It's difficult to manage, and it's difficult to manage what they take because you can't manage because there's nothing there. I see the value in putting a marine protected area at Mile 201 in this area and beyond to be able to do that. But it's a matter of like, how do you enforce that? Is it going to be like the Argentinian Coast Guard that enforces that? Is it going to be other other countries that enforce that? I think that's where it gets. And I know that those questions may not have been answered yet, but I see this as being like a very interesting case study of how these marine protectors can be put in and who manages them. It would make sense if the Argentinian government managed this area, but like when you have like apparently there's pictures of this fleet where it like lights, you can see it from space. That's how
yeah.
big it is
Was
at
it
night when their
Peru
lights
or
are.
Argentina?
No, it's Argentina.
Argentina, okay, yeah, because I think
Yeah.
the same thing happens in Peru.
Yes. Yes.
Like basically what you're describing, where
Yep.
mainly Chinese fishing vessels are fishing,
Yeah.
legally. Like it's not
Yes.
illegal to fish there.
Nope.
And it's hard to get that data. You know, I've most of my fisheries work has been in the Western Pacific,
Mm-hmm.
um, and managing those fisheries happens. Like there is enforcement, and the same as all of the world's fisheries are not managed to the same degree, and there's various levels of compliance in different areas around the world. Like in the Western Pacific, these big purse seine vessels that are fishing for tuna, they all have to have um, VMS on them, and they all have to
Right.
have 100% observer coverage. And
Mm-hmm.
those are big vessels. Those are like 300 feet, 100 meters.
Yeah.
Big vessels literally catch as many as like 300 tons in one net setting. Like big, big, big boats. But man, small boats can be tougher to enforce,
Agreed.
right? Long lines.
Mm-hmm.
Like have you ever seen pictures of some of these small boats like in Indonesia and around the Philippines, where they have sort of like a mother boat, and then
Yes.
what looks like a bathtub to me,
Mm-hmm.
but is actually a boat with an outboard motor. Fishermen are going out, and oftentimes they're like fishing on reefs, remote reefs,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily high seas. Yeah, and it's super complicated depending on where you are. I do think the technology exists though, right?
Yes.
Like I have phone right here. Uh,
That's a massive phone, dude.
Shut up,
That's
dude. No,
huge. That's huge.
it's a it's a Samsung, and I like it, so I can
I
I'm
have a
using
big
it
one too,
so I
but I
can
don't
see
know
where
if it's as big as yours. I think yours is bigger. I think you got it.
you're
You got it on
from.
me.
Uh, the technology. I'm being tracked right now by my wife, is what I was going to
Right.
say.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The technology exists to track every boat on the planet, but you know,
But
enforcing it. But yeah,
with that said, going back to your example of your
yeah,
phone,
and
you can turn that tracker
turn it
off.
off. Yeah.
And that's what we've discovered, that many of these boats, if they have a tracker, are turning. You mentioned VMS. There's also another technology, AIS, that tracks boats and shipping boats and fishing boats and stuff like that. And a lot of times, and there's a paper that came out that says like 75% of fishing vessels are not tracked. I think it was
Yeah,
that
and
came
most
out
fishing
recently.
vessels are small, right? And most fishing
Right.
vessels are fishing close to shore.
Yeah. Not to say that they're overfishing or doing anything illegal. It's just we don't know where they're going, if they're going into the right place or the wrong place or things like that. You can use satellite imagery to track that as well. And to say small or artisanal fishers are doing things illegal, it's difficult to say because I don't want to put them in that, no pun intended, into that boat, right? Like it's not something that that we want to do, but it's something that people can turn off when they want to, and it makes it difficult to find out if they've gone in. Now, mind you, I've worked with AIS data before and finding out where they go, and if they do turn it off and then they turn it back on and they have a gap of the marine protected area that they've just gone through and they're on one side and they could end up on the other side, it's pretty much a done deal that they did not phase through the like flash, like through the
Yeah,
thing I'm trying to get.
that story reminds me of a joke that I heard on Saipan many, many years ago, and it kind of goes like there was a guy who was in a marine protected area, and the ranger came up to him, and he saw that he had all this fish in the boat, and the ranger says, what are all these fish doing in your boat? Don't you know that you're in the protected area?" And the fisherman says, "What are you talking about? I'm not fishing. These are my pets." And the ranger's like, "What are you talking about? What these aren't nobody has fish like this for your pets." And the fisherman says, "No, no, no. Let me show you. Let me throw them in the water." So the fisherman takes the fish and he throws it in the water. Uh, and the ranger goes, "Well, you just threw them in the water. Can you have your pets come back?" And the fisherman goes, "What fish?" I haven't told that joke in like 15 years. If I tell it the
I
second
love
time,
it though.
it's better.
I love it. I love it. I've heard that before. I think you
Oh,
may
you
have
have?
told me
Oh,
before. I think you
oh,
may have told me, but I still
oh,
love. I
maybe
still
okay.
laugh.
It's
I'm a,
possible.
I'm a I'm a
I
sucker for
I heard
jokes.
like I heard that joke in the Pacific like years ago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Uh,
a classic joke. I'm sure you can say it in
Classic.
every. I'm sure hunters do the same thing, same joke or something like that. But yeah, um, Yeah, no, it's like that's the thing. It's gets this is a great treaty. It has a lot of the nuts and bolts that you need to put that you need to do to build things. Just now it's a matter of building it. And I didn't realize there's 81 countries that have ratified. They went over 60 last year, late last year, and since then 81 have ratified, which is great because you only need 60. That means, we're just over half maybe, or just at half of, or actually no, just under half of how many are actually, no, is it over half? How many countries? 192? 192? So yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, so we're just under half, but that's pretty good in terms of what we can accomplish and getting more countries to sign on. Hopefully more will ratify. Unfortunately, neither of our countries have ratified. I don't know what's wrong with Canada.
My country just left everything.
Yeah,
the
yeah. You're not joining anything. You're trying to rejoin, trying to get them to not leave.
We left 66 things, including IUCN, UN Oceans Conference. I'm so sorry, world. I didn't vote for that guy, and it's a difficult time to be living in this country and dealing with these crazy ideas of this world order came together after World War II to stop war and stop poverty and make sure that people don't go hungry and to protect the environment and to address climate change, and the United States is just walking away from that,
all of it,
blowing it all up. And it can seem, when I talk about my issues of I want to protect some fish and some coral, and it can seem not as important as some of these bigger issues that this country is dealing with.
Well, I mean, that's the problem when it comes to this. The U.S. has often led a lot of these,
and paid for it,
and paid for a lot of these treaties, a lot of these international agreements, a lot of the science that has gone into proving and showing that these agreements are worthwhile. And it is difficult because we're watching from up here in Canada, and we're just like, every time we turn on the news, it seems like there's more news, and not necessarily good news in terms of human rights, in terms of lives, in terms of everything. And it's very how do you manage that? You work for an organization that looks at everything.
Yeah.
And you're not speaking on, I don't want you to speak on behalf of them, but how do you manage looking after the environment when all these other things are going on in the country that often led a lot of these things that were going on for the environment?
There's an intersection of some of these issues, right? So, the invasion of Venezuela, the overthrow of the president there is an oil issue. Scott Galloway professor at NYU, who's on social media all the time and goes on Bill Maher. He had a great blog or essay that came out this week that talked about not just the oil in Venezuela, but also the minerals, the gold and the critical minerals that are there, and that absolutely played a role. So I guess the crude oil, in order to get that crude oil, it costs something like $78 a barrel, but it's only worth 58. So there had to have been something else going on. And the talk of Greenland is all about
troops are moving into Greenland now too, in terms of Norway, Sweden, Germany are moving and are planning to move troops in there.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, world. I'm so sorry. I just don't know what
it's not your fault.
Vote for this.
It's not your fault.
I would stop it right now if I could.
I'm sure you would. It never would have happened if you could have prevented that.
But there is an environmental. The environment is playing a big role in these issues of we need these critical minerals. Are we going to address climate change? I'm not sure if your question was more along the lines of how do I talk about environmental issues, or how do I keep my sanity?
Well, I mean, it was more of just there's we've talked about this before, you and I, and I've talked about on the podcast before, where it's really difficult to for people to address climate when their health is at risk, for a lot of vulnerable communities. It's really difficult for people in the U.S. to worry about all the stuff that they've pulled out of, even though it's concerning from an environmental perspective, when there are people who are getting snatched off the street,
Yeah,
off of like a
Minnesota.
park bench or a bench,
Yeah,
just because of the color of their skin. So it's like it's almost like, it almost feels like, is it, it doesn't, it hasn't hit the priority board yet,
yeah,
on the top of the priority board compared to other things. So
yeah.
how do you, as somebody who works in environmental issues, how do you try to keep those things still going and try to fight
Yeah.
for those things going?
I mean, to a certain degree, environmental issues have never been a priority issue, right? You know, people
Right.
there, no, there are very few fishing voters or climate. Like, there should be more climate voters, the way that we have gun voters and abortion
Yeah.
voters.
Yeah.
And if I had the magic recipe for getting people to vote for the climate or to vote for marine protected areas, I would be a millionaire. Um, and it's just we haven't been able to sort of like connect some of these things to people's. I think it's almost like an identity thing, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and how do you get people to identify with environmental protection being first? And like I don't actually know the answer to that, and I struggle
Yeah.
with it. And I've been thinking about environment for a long time and learning about it for a long time, and through the Bush years, environment was not a priority,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, honestly, like during the Obama years, like it took us a while before he started taking some
Yeah.
of
The
the things
environment.
forward
Yeah.
that we needed to do. Biden was great.
Absolutely.
Like Biden came out the gate and was like all like pro environment, pro climate, did great stuff. Um, and so like, I guess just like as an individual, I'm kind of comfortable with being like the niche issue and just
Yeah.
knowing, there are great moments. A protected area gets created, a management plan gets designated, so a terrible proposal gets stopped, and those become national moments, and they get picked up in newspapers. But the daily slog to get to those, how many moments have I had like that in my career?
Mm-hmm.
3, 5, 10. Not a lot.
Right.
I counted on two hands the number of days where the things that I work on are, you know, of national importance. And
Yeah.
there's a daily slog that goes along to get to those things. And I think right now, the way I get through is like it's a daily slog moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's one-on-one conversations with people who uh, live and work next to these natural resources. It's writing memos and
Yeah.
talking to reporters and doing interviews and making connections and hosting webinars. And is the hope is I think our collective effort maybe turns into a movement.
Yeah.
And I think just because of everything that we're dealing with in this country, um, like we don't really call it the liberal movement, like maybe the progressive movement, but
Mm-hmm.
the left is going to look different than it did years ago because it's just we have a different media um, ecosystem that we have to communicate in, and I think we're working towards something, and
Yeah.
we're figuring out what that next thing is going to be.
Yeah.
Um, and I've been working on deep sea mining in the Marianas a lot
I was
the
about to
last
say, yeah.
couple of
Yeah.
weeks, and man, is that an unpopular proposal for deep sea mining
To
because
actually to mine the deep sea, that's an unpopular
deep sea next
proposal.
to Marin in the out in the Western Pacific where I'm
Yeah.
from, and 3 months ago we were not organizing around deep sea mining.
No.
We were not organizing an environmental movement that looked exactly like that. But in response to what the Trump administration wanted to do, um, different partners have come together uh, in order to like organize a community, and people are building relationships, building email lists, building support groups among the islands and connections, so that they can address this issue. And I guess that's kind of like all we can do in this moment, because a lot of it is just um, this is the party that's in power right now,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and we have a lot of tools at our disposal. We have the law. We're still a country of laws, and when they break the law, we're supposed to be able to go to the courts.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and we've had some I think America has had some success with slowing down the worst parts of what is
Right.
happening in the country with the courts. but the Supreme Court right now is tilted conservative, and that's a
That's a
problem.
huge deal. And
Yeah.
and also like I think the results of rounding up people on webinars to say, hey, this is how you put in a public comment because this is going to be really important. If you want to put in a public comment, this is how you can be best, uh, I guess, listened to, for lack of better terminology. But and then working on social media and talking to different partners and things like that you and your colleagues have done, has really resulted in what you want to talk a little bit of some of those results because you were able to
Yeah,
see how
sure.
many
So
comments were put
yeah,
in, which
like
I
I
think
mean,
is a huge success.
there are lawyers and scientists who are experts on this kind of stuff, and they draft 50-page comments that get submitted. And one of the reasons they do that is so that they can sue the administration later when
Mm,
the administration violates the different laws that they're supposed to follow, and they can
yeah,
point to that they're in the record, they were told that they have to follow this law, and when they don't. So that's like one aspect of why it's important to submit comments. Another one is just to kind of get a sense of where America's at. Like, what does the community think about this? It's not an election. It's not a vote. But I think the vast majority of the comments are actually going to be quite short. They're not going to be these 50-page documents with legal words and scientific words. It's going to be average islanders, average Americans saying, "Man, I think this is a terrible idea. I love the ocean. I think this will harm the ocean. I hope that you don't do it." And at the end of the day, a lot of those comments may just be ignored. But I think people do get buy-in. Like if you stop and you spend the time to learn about a situation, you take the time to write something down and you submit it to a government agency, you're bought in. Like you have spent time to think about this, and you want to you're now a part of this. And I
yeah,
think that's an important part of the process is getting people involved, feeling like they're a part of the process. And the collective effort in the Marianas the last 2 months, and this is across Guam, Northern Mariana Islands, and then also just the continental United States, is they submitted over 60,000 comments in opposition to this deep sea mining thing. Nearly all of them are in opposition. And the
that's
sad thing
amazing.
is, Trump administration is probably just going to throw most of them away.
Can they though? Like, is there a certain number where they have to
Yeah,
ignore
they
them?
can, and because they'll like what they did in American Samoa is they said we received 76,000 comments, 1,000 of which were unique, because a lot of them are form comments, right? It's Greenpeace or Earth Justice, and you sign your name and
Gotcha.
you copy and paste and you send it. Um, they came up with a new term called substantive comments, and I think they basically just ignored the
All
ones that
the
said, yeah,
templated
I don't,
ones.
or also just the ones that said, I don't like this. They're the
Yeah.
ones that didn't have that legal language. Um, but there's a narrative out there, right? And that narrative is important. So in American Samoa, there were 76,000 people opposed to this. In the
Mm,
Marianas, there are 60,000 people who were opposed to this. And it's just unpopular. And whether you're working on like a protected area or you're trying to force deep sea mining onto a community, or even like if you're just selling beer, like imagine if you're selling beer and you go in there and you insult the people, they're not going to buy your beer.
no.
Um, that what happens if you don't go in and do conservation in the right way, people aren't going to buy your conservation.
True.
And with the way the Trump administration is approaching deep sea mining in the U.S. territories, is there's going to people have the ability to slow walk things.
Yeah.
You know, these are remote islands where there's a port. You're gonna have to. They have the ability to make your life difficult. And so like I'm not an absolutist when it comes to deep sea mining. Like I have a phone. It has
Yeah.
minerals in it, right? I
Yep. You have a big phone.
I have a big phone. Yeah. Um, you know, those electric rocks got to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe they
Yeah.
come from Greenland. But maybe we recycle it we go to landfills and recycle. There's
Hmm.
other options for where we're
Yeah.
gonna get it. But maybe there is a time and a place where people out there are supportive of deep sea mining, and if there's a way that it could help the community where jobs are created, or some of the money and the profits make their way back to the local
Hmm.
government to pay for schools and healthcare and keep the lights on. Like
Yeah.
that's how the economy works, right?
Right.
But what they're proposing right now is nothing like that,
No.
and so people aren't supportive. And with all of this opposition, it's going to make it harder for themselves to do it. And it's a learning
Right.
moment for us, for like you and me and other people
Yeah.
who want conservation. Is that anytime you want to do something in these small communities where nature is, we have to work with them.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. Well, and it's like you need to get the buy-in of the local
Yeah.
people, and 76,000 and 60,000 respectively for American Samoa and Mariana Islands opposed to this is not a good sign that the people are for the program, like are for what they're being proposed. And we know how this government is working. There's a good chance that they ignore the public comment, but also, this happened with the oil, the oil and gas lease plan last time, Trump was in power, and that
Yep.
never went through for whatever reason. And there were a lot of
Yep.
people who were opposed to that as well. And I'm sure as they propose this plan, they're proposing a very similar plan, if not more. We're going to see the same thing. And you mentioned earlier how difficult it is for paying for getting oil out of the ground or even oil out of the water. The way gas is right now, it's not going to be easy to drill. It's not going to be cheap to drill. It's going to be pretty expensive. So it might not even be worth it to a lot of the companies.
Yeah, gas is pretty cheap down here right now.
It's the same
Uh,
up here,
yeah, like it's
right? Like
way
a dollar 20 a liter, or less than dollar
down
20 a
level.
liter.
We do gallons.
Yeah,
I'm always shocked too of how cheap gas is in the United States compared to the rest of the world.
yeah,
Uh, like way cheaper than
yeah,
so even when our gas is higher,
yeah.
you pop over to Europe and you see
It's really
you know
expensive.
it what we pay for a gallon they pay for a liter
Yeah,
when there's 4 liters in a gallon.
yeah.
But yeah, it's about US 60 260 US per gallon right now where I live,
That makes
which
sense.
is let's do the math.
It's probably about three
30
bucks for
65
Canadian,
cents
probably.
per
Yeah,
liter. Yeah, so
yeah. It's a lot
200%
more.
cheaper than you guys.
Well, we're usually more expensive because we sell you the gas, you guys refine
Yeah.
it, and then we buy it back at a little more expensive. So it's usually a little bit more expensive. But I mean, it used to be for us, it was like $1.60, $1.70 for a long time, $1.50, and now it dropped down to like under $1.20. So
God,
it's
I am
it's
so
cheaper.
confused right now. Like these numbers are just like between the
Let's just
Canadian
look at the
dollars
proportion.
and the
Let's just look at the
liters and the
proportion.
gallons. My brain is. I'm. Have you seen this new Ryan Gosling movie? It's called
Ryan Gosling.
Project Hail Mary,
Oh, the space one?
the space one.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm reading
It's
the
based on a book, right?
I'm reading the book right now.
Yeah.
And it's by the same guy who wrote The Martian.
Yes. Yes.
And
It looks like a good movie.
I don't want to give anything away because it's one of the best books I've ever written. Like I
You've ever
started
written or
I
read?
started it like 3 days ago. I'm gonna read this in 4 nights.
Oh yeah,
Like, I started like 3 nights ago, and I will finish it tonight.
yeah.
But there is another character in the book, and the character also uses different numbers. And it's a science communications book, but it's
Okay.
gonna have Ryan Gosling, who's super hot.
Super
Um,
hot, and he's
and
Canadian, by the way.
he's Canadian. Yeah,
Not far from
Canada
me.
has some great Ryans,
We we have some pretty good
and
rides.
you gave us Ryan Reynolds. We appreciate
Yep.
that. Thank you so
Yep.
much, Canada. Um, but yeah, that's I've been reading about in this book. There's a conversation about this other character thinks of numbers in a different way, and it's very
And
very
that's how
funny
you.
in the book. Um,
Yes.
and it's great book. Like if for anybody's like still listening, go read Project Hail Mary. Like I like you. I'm not giving anything away, but you open the
Yeah.
book and he wakes up on a spaceship and he doesn't know who he is and
That's
he's
amazing.
all alone, and it just gets better from there.
That's amazing. Yeah, I've seen the previews for the movie. It looks fantastic. I heard the audiobook is also very good too.
Oh,
Friends
okay.
who listen to a lot of audiobooks, which I plan on doing before this movie because I want to get the full thing because I've heard it's great. I feel like based on what I've heard about the character, I feel like Ryan Reynolds plays a pretty good one. It looks like he
Ryan
plays a pretty good
Gosling.
Gosling, sorry. Looks like he plays it pretty well. So yeah, so it should be good. But I think that's it for today.
Yeah.
So we're going with Patriots, Bills, Rams, and Seattle for you.
Okay.
I'm going with Denver, Houston, Niners, and Rams.
All right, and we'll see who does the best, and then
See who
nothing.
does the best, and then we'll just kind of make fun of each other.
I said I wasn't going to gamble this year.
Oh yeah.
But do you ever play the squares game?
Oh yeah, like the quarters, like for each quarter, you guess the score.
Yeah. You've done it up with me before.
I think I have.
Sure.
I think I put. Yeah, I think I have. Yeah.
I'm thinking of putting one of those together.
I thought you were supposed to gamble though.
Well,
that's gambling.
It's one game.
No, that's how it starts. That's literally how gambling addiction starts.
I thought it
for the Super Bowl, only for the Super Bowl. You're only allowed to do for the Super Bowl.
The gambling that I want to avoid is sitting at a casino for 3 hours because I feel like that is just a waste of your life.
Okay.
But like lottery tickets, I only buy lottery tickets when it's like $1 billion now.
Yeah.
And I do a pool with friends.
Yes. Yes.
And you've done some with me. And
I don't know if I was did I don't know if I did because I live in Canada. I don't know if I can actually take advantage of that.
I don't know. Okay.
But I would love to, or if you won, I would love to win with you.
Yeah.
Let's just say that, because then we could do a lot of good stuff for the ocean if we had won that event.
I have spent thousands upon thousands, not my money. Like I get a pool together, and like for one pool for one day, I might have collected between like say $300 or $700. And like you don't win on the first game, so like you might go for like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 drawings, and so like, literally thousands, potentially tens of thousands of dollars. The most I have ever won playing the lottery on a single ticket is $7. Is the lottery is the biggest waste of your money that you could ever
so
do.
bad.
You should not play the lottery. It is just pissing money away. It is a stupid tax, but it's also lots of fun.
Because you start dreaming about what you're going to do with the money that you win.
100%.
That's awesome. Well, maybe we'll do a Super Bowl squares.
Yes,
how about that?
We should.
That'll be good. One game. That's it. We'll do one game. That'll be awesome. All right, cool. Well, we'll be back next Thursday, same time, 5 p.m. Eastern, live here on YouTube. And if you love what you hear, let me know in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you guys about how the show's going, what you'd like us to cover. If you have some ideas of what you'd like us to cover, we'd love to do that. If you have questions or anything like that, just let us know in the comments below. Angelo, it's always a pleasure to do these shows with you. Looking forward to the next one, and we will talk to you later. Happy conservation, everybody.